Good morning, everybody. I'm Renee with Nostalgic Needlework, and today is Monday, April 2nd. I hope that everybody had a blessed Easter weekend. I know that we did, and it's a beautiful day here in Georgia today. Sun is shining, and spring is in the air. My husband is getting ready to start planting his garden. He's been kind of chomping at the bit, wanting to do that. So he's turned my dining room into a greenhouse right now. He started some tomato seeds, and now they've grown into plants that are about this tall. So he's looking forward to putting those in the ground. I wanted to come today and show you some things that I have in the plans to stitch for the near future. Market really opened my eyes to a lot of pretty patterns, and I think that I'm going to really enjoy stitching some of these things from new designers that I had not experienced before. But before I do that, I want to share something with you. I have a treasure that my parents gave to me a few weeks ago, and I want to share it with you all. How many of you know what this is? This was my grandmother's, my mother's butter mold. I feel comfortable saying it is at least 100 years old because my parents are in their 80s, and my mama remembers my grandmother making butter in this. It's, of course, handmade, being that old. Some of the wood is starting to crack, but to be that age, it's in relatively good condition. A couple things that I saw on here that I just thought were representative of how smart people were when they didn't have a whole lot to work with. Each of these sides of this block are angled so that when this is pressed into the butter mold, it's easier to pull out. This piece here, I don't know if it's glued in. I don't see any signs of glue. There's no nail. It's either the greatest workmanship or it's obviously done very neatly so that you can't see how it's put together in there. But it's held up all these years. It is starting to crack there, as you can see. But for everyone who's too young to remember and to even know how butter was done, they would churn the butter. They would put this upside down into the butter mold, pour the butter or pack the butter in here, and then push it out, and they would have a butter. Probably about a pound of butter, I would guess. There's nothing like home churned butter. If you ever have the opportunity to try any, I can't even describe it. It's wonderful. But this is something that I'll cherish forever. I just wanted to share that with everybody. One of the patterns that I'm about to start, I was introduced to Beth Twist through some of the videos that I saw from Market. And after hearing her talk and watching her videos here, Heartstring Samplery on YouTube, Flosstube, she has become a designer that I'm very interested in stitching her work. I love her heart. I love her faith. and I love her patterns. The one that I'm about to start is Prairie Life Sampler. It is done on 35 count classic homespun by R&R Reproductions, and it calls for Weeks Dye Works threads, but she does include a DMC conversion. I opted to get the Weeks Dye Works threads because I wanted it to be as similar to the model as I could get. And Stitch and Frog is where I order a lot of my supplies from. And when I ordered the fabric, the thing on the website said that this was the last piece and that there wouldn't be any reorders for them at least. Now that may have changed in the last few weeks. But this is the fabric that it called for, classic homespun. 35 count is a little higher than I normally stitch on, but this doesn't look too bad. I think I'm going to be okay if I use my Light. It's a pretty fabric, and I'm looking forward to giving it a try and see how I like it. It is linen. I love to stitch on linen. I'm definitely going to use my Light with the magnifier for this piece because I don't want my eyes getting so tired that I can't enjoy the work. Another piece that I was excited to get from Beth was the Church Doll Sampler Roll. I hope you're not getting too bad of a glare. This pattern is for the roll itself. And then you can make any kind of, or purchase any kind of little doll you want to go with that. And of course, a little tea set. These were originally used by parents to entertain their children in church. And my only regret is that I didn't find this beautiful pattern before my little girl was too old to utilize it. It calls for 40 count Confederate gray linen. I probably will move that down into the 30s. And it, let's see, Weeks Dye Works produces the Confederate gray linen, I'm sorry. It calls for the Gentle Arts, Weeks Dye Works. However, I'm certain that she gives a DMC conversion for this pattern. And I thought about using the DMCs, and then the more I look at this beautiful piece, it just really calls to me to stitch with the called for threads because I want it to have that old antique look. I haven't kitted this up yet, so I'm looking forward to stitching that. I'm thinking I may make a little handkerchief doll to go with it. If any of you have ever seen those, you can Google handkerchief doll and a lot of different patterns will come up. And I'll probably stitch her little face. I think Beth painted this face, but I'll probably stitch the little face on my doll. And then I'll be looking for a little tea set. I love things like this. I didn't used to, but I love little smalls like this that can be made into special finishes. The last thing I got from Beth for right now is this pin drum. I've been seeing these done on YouTube, and I just really wanted to do one. I wanted it to be a patriotic pattern, and the name of this one is Grand Old Flag. It calls to be stitched on 32 count, picture this plus ALE, A-L-E, and it calls for the Gentle Art threads, but there is a conversion to DMC included. Beth also tells you where you can locate the rickrack and the quilting cotton, everything to finish this piece. She suggests that you stuff it with walnut shells or any other filler. I'll probably use Mountain Mist because Vanna Pfeiffer, the Twisted Stitcher, suggested that, and I have used it in the pillow that I showed in an earlier video, and I really like that. So I feel sure that's what I'll do. I love this patriotic design. I haven't ever stitched anything patriotic, so this will be my first try, and I'm looking forward to that. This next piece is going to be kitted up sooner than later. I ordered the fabric, and I've got to order the fibers. I believe this was released at Market. Letters from Mom. And it's a Jeanette Douglas design. I think this is one of the prettiest, unique ideas that I've seen in a long time. And I want to stitch this for my daughter. It can be stitched as a sampler, but I want to do the envelope, and then Jeanette will release little letter snippets to be stitched and tucked down in there. I noticed when I was reading the pattern that there is someone who she suggests that made this envelope out of fabric, of course, and you can email her and send her your stitched piece, and she will make your envelope. I don't know the cost. I will probably make the envelope for my piece myself. I love this fabric that they used in this sample. I hope I can find something very similar. The count is high that it calls for, and I probably am going to lower it just a little bit. I think, let me look just 1 minute. I don't want to give bad information. To tell you what the fabric is. It calls for Zweigart, Platinum, or Legacy by Picture This Plus. And when I looked those up, I did lower the count because I ordered it. I just said that, didn't I? I'm sorry. When I ordered it, I liked the antique look of Legacy for my use better than I did the Platinum. So Legacy is what I chose. And I honestly don't remember if I ordered the 36 count or if I did lower it to 32. I'm just not sure. I'll let you know in my next video. She does give a DMC conversion for the pattern, but I'm going to use the call for threads, Weeks Dye Works, Classic Color Works, and a few gassed threads. I think that while there are a lot of colors listed, and that's to finish the entire project with all 12 months of letters, I think that by purchasing just a few at a time, it won't be too costly because I can break it up. So, and I have some of the colors, I believe, already in my collection. I just think this is a beautiful design. It's very special to me because it's a mother to her child. If my daughter doesn't want it, I may end up giving it to one of my sons later on, but I just think that's really pretty. Another market release that I was drawn to was Sweet Little Wilhelmina by Plum Street Samplers. I know a lot of you are stitching this or have purchased this. Sheep are just really special to me, and she drew me because I'm a pink girl, and I loved all the pink flowers. And I just think it's a unique little design. I don't know that I will frame it. I will probably do some other kind of finish. But this calls for R&R Reproductions fabric, 36 count weathered shingle. I've looked that up online and I do love the way that looks. So that's what I want to use to stitch this. And actually, this calls for about 6 Classic Colorworks thread colors, but then it utilizes some DMC as well, so it's not going to be that much to kit it up. And I love the verse that she included from the Bible on the back. It's Psalm 100, verse 3. Know ye that the Lord, He is God. It is He that hath made us, and not we ourselves. We are His people, the sheep of His pasture. And I want to, just seeing this made me think of something that I wanted to share with all of you who are Christians and enjoy learning more about the Bible. When I was in college, in one of my Bible classes, it may have been a theology class, I learned that if Lord in the New Testament is spelled with all capital letters, that refers to God Himself. If Lord is spelled with a capital L and lowercase O-R-D, that is referring to Christ. I had never heard that, and I enjoyed learning that, and I just wanted to share it with you all. I hadn't thought about it till I read that verse and saw that in this verse, the first Lord is all capital letters, and it says He is God. But then, there is just one Lord. It refers to He, the rest of the verse, and of course He is capitalized. But I really like that. I haven't stitched anything from Plum Street Samplers yet, so I'm looking forward to that. And I was thinking, even though I love Paula Vaughn patterns, a lot of these things are going to work right in with the Paula Vaughn design. So maybe that's why I've been drawn to these particular ones. My next designer that I've become a huge fan of is from Hands Across the Sea Samplers. I never really thought about stitching samplers until I started watching Flosstube and listening to Lori from Mischievous Stitches and so many others that talked about their love for samplers. And as I started reading more and listening to more videos, I realized the historical context that is attached, and that many were stitched by little schoolgirls, and that really touched my heart because I love history and particularly learning about how people lived in a much earlier time. So the first piece that I purchased was this one. It has the Lord's Prayer in the center. I love the colors that are incorporated into this piece. The title of it is Mary Brown, 1765. When I finish the Prairie Sampler from Beth Twist, I will probably begin this one. It does have a few specialty stitches, but I have done a lot of embroidery throughout my lifetime as well as cross stitch. So hopefully I can learn them pretty easily or relearn them. It calls for a satin stitch and Algerian eyelets. I'm looking forward to that, improving my skills. It calls for linen, of course, and silk threads, but there's also a DMC conversion. Wanting to stay true to the look, I'm going to collect the silk threads just a little at a time. There's probably 12 maybe colors, and if I purchase just a couple at a time, by the time I'm ready to stitch this, I should have them all. I'm trying to see the called for fabric, and for some reason it calls for 40 count lakeside linen vintage buttercream, and I did look that up and it's gorgeous. I may lower that count just for the sake of my eyes. On the back of the pattern she gives the fabric size that you need for 28 count, 30, 32, 36, and 40. So I may stitch this on 32, possibly 36. I'll just have to see how my eyes are doing at the time that I get ready to start this. But I'm really looking forward to stitching that piece. I ordered one more directly from England, from Hands Across the Sea website. The interview that they did with her was amazing to me. I loved hearing her speak. I'm just sick that I missed a class that she did at Sassy Jack's. I didn't find out about it until, I think it was in January, and I didn't find out about it until about 2 days before she was going to be there, or I would have gone to that class. But this piece is Sarah Mary Lockworthy, 1727. It also incorporates the Lord's Prayer. It only calls for 5 silks, but you do need multiples of some of those. Once again, she gives the fabric size for 28, 32, 36, and 40. This piece was stitched on 40 count lakeside linen exemplar, and I think it's so pretty, so I want to stick with that color choice. I also, when I purchased this on the website, they offered a video that teaches this, they call freehand stitching here, and I purchased that. I think it was maybe $10. Give me a little leeway on that because I could be wrong, but I think I can learn so much from that video, and I wanted to definitely know what I was doing before I started this stitch. So I'm looking forward to that. You know, these patterns are a little more expensive. Let's see if I can get some of this. I'm sorry for the glare. I love the fact I'm willing to pay a little more for these patterns because of the quality. The paper is amazing that it's printed on. It's just beautiful on the back. You see how pretty that is? And I think you definitely get what you pay for with these, the photography and just everything involved. So I look forward to that. That will be started later this year. I can have a big project and a like an ornament going at the same time. But I don't do well with lots of big projects going at the same time. So that's why it takes me a while. And this last little pattern that I found is By the Bay. And I've never stitched anything from By the Bay, but I thought it was so pretty. I'd wanted something with this sentiment for a long time. This says, I am a needlesmith. I think that is so pretty with the sheep and the spinning wheel, the scene in the background. The model was stitched on 32 count even weave antique white by Fabric Flair, and that is the fabric that I purchased. And all the flosses are DMC, which was exciting to me because I bet I have all of them. I have kitted up the fabric. I have not pulled the DMCs yet, but this is the fabric that I purchased. I took it down to a 28 count, and I chose Jobelin even weave. I like Jobelin, and I just thought that that was, I don't know, there's something about the white of the fabric that just really set this piece off to me. So I'm looking forward to starting that. I'll probably start that after I finish one of the other smaller projects, or after I finish maybe the Heartstring Samplery Prairie Life sampler, because I really want this to hang in my craft room in my piano studio. I am ready to kit up the Heartstring Samplery piece. I have the threads here that I purchased. I haven't divided them all up, but aren't they pretty? I just think they're lovely. Some are Weeks, some are Gentle Art. I'm sorry, I'm going to pause just a minute to get my phone.